Good evening and welcome to Story Hour. I'm tonight's host, Laura Blackwell. My marvelous co-host, Daniel Marcus, marvelous Daniel Marcus, started Story Hour over 2 years ago, and he just wanted a place to hang out with his writer buddies. But then they brought in writer buddies, and we've been bringing in writer buddies every week for the past 2 years, every Wednesday, and it has been great. We even made some new writer buddies. So tonight we have one returning favorite, Jordan Kurella, and a new favorite, Jen Brown, reading from their work, we always do, and they are reading for their tonight's favored nonprofits. I like to say favored instead of favorite because it can change. And if you are fortunate enough to help others, please consider a donation to the featured nonprofits, Rest for Resistance or Black, Queer, and Intersectional Collective. Jen Brown is reading for Rest for Resistance. Rest for Resistance strives to uplift marginalized communities, those who rarely get access to adequate health care or social support. This includes Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Pacific Islander, Asian, Middle Eastern, and multiracial persons. Rest for Resistance also seeks to create healing space for LGBTQIA+ individuals, namely trans and queer people of color, as well as other stigmatized groups such as sex workers, immigrants, persons with physical and/or mental disabilities, and those living at all intersections of all of the above. Proud to offer meditations in New York City since 2015, Rest for Resistance is venturing into the virtual space and gathering for QTPOC meditation monthly on Zoom. You can learn more at restforresistance.com. They also have a lot of really interesting articles there. I was enjoying perusing those earlier, so I really recommend checking out the site. Jordan Kurella is reading for Black, Queer, and Intersectional Collective. BQIC is a grassroots community organization that works towards the liberation of Black, queer, trans, and intersex people from all walks of life through direct action, community organizing, education on issues, and creating spaces to uplift voices. BQIC focuses on uplifting the needs, narratives, and passions of Black LGBTQIA+ people. Boy, I have so much trouble with letters. You can't believe I have a whole name made out of them. Within and outside of the collective to achieve a world where all Black LGBTQIA+ folks are free from oppression. BQIC envisions a world where Black LGBTQIA+ people from all backgrounds can thrive. You can learn more at bqic.net. If you're here on Zoom, please feel free to leave your camera on. It can be really nice for our readers to see your faces and your reactions to their stories. Feel free to chime in on the text chat if you like. It's right off to the right. If you're joining us on Facebook, we are so glad you're here. Thank you so much, but please understand that we just may not see your messages right away. That all covered. Our first reader tonight is Jen Brown. Jen Brown is a librarian, speculative writer, and weaves otherworldly tales about Black queer folks righteously wielding power. An Ignite Award-nominated author, Jen's stories have appeared in FIYA Literary Magazine, Tor.com and FIYA's Breathe FIYA Anthology, Baffling Magazine, Anathema Spec from the Margins, Podcastle, and have been translated for Chrononauta's Matreon? Nice. Catch her tweeting at Jen in the Live, or find more of her stories at jencbrown.com. Jen, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And I'm so excited to be reading some pieces here tonight, or afternoon or morning, or wherever folks are viewing from. So settle in. I've got 2 flash pieces here, very near and dear to my heart. The first one I'll be reading is Bandit, Reaper, Yours. This is the piece that was published in Baffling magazine. And just as a content warning note, it's a little spicy. There'll be a little spicy mention of adult activities. So if you need to usher anyone out the room, take your moment to do that as you will. Okay, so this is Bandit, Reaper, Yours. One hardly expects to be bested by a boutique, especially not some spongy wooden hovel, swollen from storms pummeling the Citadel's bay. Yet the Reaper repertoire is unmade, stripped like fresh carrion every time she swats it. Ahead, Harrow's house of celestial fashion sits, gauzed by gas lamps streaking the dawn. A frequent customer, Repertoire has visited for all manner of delights. Gallant gowns, fashionable robes, her lover's kiss. But nothing good ever lasts. I'll break her quickly, she thinks. Repertoire shoves its loamy door open with broad shoulders, blinking back tears. It gives easily, unaware of the carnage she's come to commit. And Repertoire stumbles, heart pounding, into the abyss. Darkness shrouds the shop. Were she a fool or an optimist, she'd hope. She'd pray that her mark had fled. Instead, she peers past Harrow's overly frilled blouses, past colorless trousers and dour hats to find her target smirking at her, no less, amid the shadows. Morning Bandit. Yandi, Harrow's talented apprentice, whose every garment screams, out of my way, I've bones to break and souls to sever, regards her from the tailor's platform, voice warm around Repertoire's codename. Why are you still here? Despite her training, Repertoire approaches, trembling from lace gloves to sandaled feet. You knew I was coming. Oh, Bandit. Like you, I have a job to finish. Brazen, Yandi meets her halfway. Where else would I be? Telling Harrow that Citadel Reapers are on to him, telling him that his secrets threaten your life. Instead, she rasps, running. Yandi crowds her, purring. And give your cadre or archlorist or whoever paid you the satisfaction. Stretching, she kisses Repertoire, flutter soft, then harder, pulling groans from them both. Never. Repertoire saw this coming. A spy and an assassin with competing employers, each fevered touch enjoyed only on stolen time. They burned bright and hard. Why gawk at the cinders now? Still, she reels and painstakingly bolts the door. By order of the Imperial Reaper cadre, I'm bone bound to hold you accountable. Feeling stripped from her skin, Repertoire continues, monotone. Do you deny stealing our coal cards for Harrow's underground gossip trade, selling them to our targets and thus impeding our work? No. Did you pay another Reaper to bone-bury knowledge of Harrow's whereabouts within yourself? Maybe. Repertoire frowns. Well, if you didn't, will you just tell me where he is? Ask nicely, and I might. Please. Twisting brown lips, Yandi pantomimes thinking. Nah, I'd rather steal the coal cards you're carrying now and fit you for that suit you ordered. She winks, shall we? Dread-filled, Retwa follows Yandi to the tailor's stand, exchanging her reaper's robes for an ebon suit of Yandi's making, glamorous tulle trousers, and a shimmering blazer. In the dressing mirrors, she watches Yandi's reflection, wiry and wry-mouthed, pin and prod at her. If you've buried memories pertaining to Harrow, I've been ordered to shattered bones. Retwa pauses, throat thick. I'll have to break you for them, Jan. Yandi claps. Oh, I've outdone myself, Bandit. Everything fits you perfectly. She searches Retwa's discarded robes like old times. Don't reapers put bones back together once they're done? Unless you're here to completely sever me, in which case, break away. Apparently, soul stuff dribbles right out. I'm not here for that, Retwa says. Are you even listening? Yandi withdraws the coal cards, naming Retwa's latest targets. A vast mage spy close to the emperor, a lorist embezzling constellation tithes, and studies them, nose wrinkled. Hasn't been much worth listening to yet. For fuck's sake, Jan. Retwa snarls. Harrow made you steal excessively while I kept them off your trail. Then he left the moment my cadre grew suspicious, exposing you both. Why shield him now? Because it challenges you, Yandi says, spittle and fear hissing her words, to choose us over your cadre. Us. The word hangs there, assaulting Retwa's dry mouth. Then, an emotion that's so her, it makes Retwa snort. Yandi pockets the coal cards. I'm done making Harrow rich. I want my own fashion house, my own gossip networks, far from here. She grins, stretching the mole atop her lips. And I want you with me. Retwa staggers, hands sweating. You're mad. I'm insistent. You know what else I want? Your real name, Bandit, not that moniker you wall yourself behind. I'd be a fool to, true fools would leave this morning, right now. Removing her apron, Yandi discards fabric shears and pin cushions, stripping herself of station and store. Come away with me. 47 seconds elapse, almost silent, if it weren't for the clanging streetcars bearing denizens to portside dock jobs and vast mages toward hillside shrines. 47 numb-footed, gape-mouthed seconds wherein Retwa toes a tantalizing precipice. A chasm for fools. She grimaces. You want all of me, Jan? I'm no pious figure like vast mages from old star lore. I'd leave broken sternums and severed souls wherever we went. We'd always be running. And fucking, Yandi laughs, sauntering close. Thieving for coin. Reaping whenever we damn well please. Well, you'd reap anyway. We'd be living, Bandit. She seizes Retwa, infectiously giddy, making Retwa shiver in return. We'd make our own way, Harrow and your cadre be damned. Outside, footsteps pad, muffled, but close. Pulling away, Retwa sighs, readying herself for a different problem, looming just out of sight. Perhaps after I've dealt with my colleagues. Behind them, the door rattles without wind to speak of. Get back. Yandi retreats, moments before an Imperial Reaper, black-masked and grim-mouthed, barrels inside. Interesting. She'd counted 2 tailing her here. Reaper, the unfamiliar figure challenges, High Imperium pristine. We were right to doubt your loyalties. Retrois blinks, unspooling herself, a reaper's cleaving between mind and body. She draws tendrils of soul, opaque and onyx from her phalanges until her fingers are cloudy with pitch. Spot on, Retrois slurs, unable to feel her teeth. Now, shall we? Her colleague unfurls too. They clash and dodge and topple Harrow's poor mannequins, striking out, gloves abandoned, souls seeking skin. They could shoot one another. Most reapers carry stilettos for botched culls, but the cadre has standards. Retrois refuses to shirk them now. The rules demand she cling to her body, sidestep their sloppy blows, wrap sweating palms around her colleague's eyes. That she surge her soul beneath skin and sclera, spidering their frontal bone, soul crystallizing between its collagen, and shatter it. Gurgling, her colleague thuds, feathery soul drifting up and through the rafters. Retrois sways into waiting arms. That was too easy, Yandi says, cradling her. They'll send others. Oh yes, there's one outside watching now. Retrois smiles. But we'll be long gone before they've reported us. Living and fucking by then? Yandi responds with a kiss, teeth heavy and laughed tinge, smoothing Retrois' now must suit. Obviously. But first, what do I call the bandit who beguiled me this year? Sunlight streams through the streaked storefront, highlighting the maelstrom. Mannequins upended, a body splayed and husked. Centering it, Retrois sprawls, unscathed and unbroken. Retrois for every day, reaper sometimes. Bandit if you're feeling frisky. She smiles. But whatever I am, I'm yours, Jan. I'm all yours. So that is Bandit, Reaper Yours. It's a very fun little piece that I kind of just let myself run with in a very sort of fanficky way, going right back to my roots. And I will be finishing up by reading a flash piece that appeared in Tor.com's Breathe Fire anthology. This piece is called Conjurer's Rites and is totally fine for anyone to listen to. So you can bring your loved ones back if you had to shoo them away for a moment. But this final piece is Conjurer's Rites. I should know how to spell a Graves family gathering by now. Once there was, I pause, chewing my heartbeat. Fashionable relatives peppered throughout the Hilton stately ballroom stare on, unimpressed, skeptical. Once, I repeat louder, there was a housekeeper who, I'll see nothing, someone shouts. Hush. But he's right though. Uncles murmur into bulbous snifters, cousins snicker behind their phones. Dry-mouthed, I squint into the searing spotlight overhead, grimacing around microphone feedback. Once, there was a housekeeper with legendary hands. Sticking mine out, I curl brown fingers into the staid hotel air, gaze across attendees at the 33rd Graves family reunion, and conjure a memory spell unique to our bloodline. This housekeeper, I continue, fingers tingling, was our very own Betty Graves, great-great-granny to most of us. As you can see, yet fear-stricken, I realize nothing's happening. The room hasn't responded to my spell. It hasn't bled obsidian like the opening of a film before coalescing around the manifested memory of Betty Graves's greatest heist. Silence claims the room. You ain't got a dribble of your mama's magic, someone whispers into my mind, startling me into bumping the mic stand. Of course, I find Aunt Claudette exploiting our blood link from her table, and I hesitate a fraction too long. Enough, Claudette gesticulates tawny arms, her lips wrung tight, promising Conjurer my ass. Child, sit down and let somebody else work. Heat kneads my spine. Heads around the room, coiled and braided, bejeweled and ombre, nod in agreement. I've long been chow to Claudette, a quiet thing, stick-legged and gap-toothed, watching mom brag about my gift. Sid's better at it than me, she'd laughed. One day, she'll spell a whole reunion. Watch. Decades later, I've succeeded in withering, hot-faced and unprepared beneath Claudette's stare when I meant to prove myself, to atone. I'm trying. That you are. It's Aunt Celia who speaks, her voice clear as quartz, soothing Claudette's narrow fury. We named Sydney's this reunion's Conjurer, and that's binding. Speckled around the room, various Graves family conjurers who imbibe and archive family births and deaths, triumphs and trials, who behold every momentous occasion the Graves, Byrne, Williams clan has ever had, hum their agreement. She's jet lagged, Aunt Celia continues, gliding towards me. Tonight, Sid's gonna rest up, and tomorrow she'll spell us a memory so good, her mama will feel it from on high. I want to protest, but shame seals my lips, making me slink away. Behind me, DeAndre lumbers onto the dance floor with his Casio keyboard, beginning for Elise to open the talent show. Nobody minds that the keys light up, guiding his little fingers. A long bath later, well after I drunk myself silly and sad, Aunt Celia comes for me. So you in here moping when you should be working. The state of my room is answer enough. She notes my suitcase propped open, an empty drawer is flung wide. You're leaving then. When we sit, it's on the lumpy hotel mattress beside items she brought me days ago. A milky pearl necklace with the label Betty Graves' greatest heist. Shavings of concrete from that time Uncle Harris bodied interdimensional griffins. There are blades of grass bound by snot, tire treads neatly cut, dirt from God knows where, all tethered to the flamboyant family memories Mom had been responsible for. Thumbing Betty's necklace, I work myself up to admitting the truth. I lied. Celia stares, but I avoid her gaze. When you asked if I felt confident taking on Mom's conjurings, I lied. I didn't want to disappoint. And I wanted Mom's tethered memories for safekeeping. Looking up, I noticed her watching my hands, inspecting the pearls clutched between my thumb and forefinger. I got Mom's gift, but I refused to learn it. Thought it was weird, a little scary even. And now she's gone, Celia replies. Any minute, I expect her to leave, thoroughly disappointed. Instead, she takes Betty's pearls, rubbing an empty spot where I'd pulled one from the band. I knew all that. Otherwise, you'd know a conjuring doesn't work unless the entire relic's eaten. Oh, my jaw slackens. I didn't ask because I thought you were good. I asked because you're family, my only niece. All I need to know is what you want now, Sydney. You want to learn or leave? Suddenly, Aunt Celia looks at me the way Mom used to, her words like hot knives piercing gathered pulp, burning past fear. I've been away so long, shaping myself with learnings and blunders alike. Straightening, I realize this is no different. Hell yeah, I want to learn. At breakfast, older relatives grab continental fare in a reserved dining room while children race between their legs, hopped up on orange juice. This time, when I face everyone, even Claudette's steely glare, I don't stammer and sweat before a mic. Raising one arm, I swallow Betty Graves's pearl necklace, metal and mineral ridging my throat, shiver as her memories permanently sink into the meat of my mind. Clasping my hand, Aunt Celia anchors our spell, which cleaves sinew to claim my tongue. Once, I say, my voice oscillating with another's. There was a housekeeper whose heists were the stuff of legend. Each word is an accordion, folding the walls, bleeding them from beige to black, then green, verdant malachite, framed by wide oak trees and blistering sunlight. It's warm. We're warm. Our onyx and amber hues suddenly awash in light. Ahead, where the buffet once stood, sprawls a manor house, cordoned by wrought iron, welded around a single letter, B for Betty. Lapping at lavish driveways, her house was bought brazenly, unforgivingly, with monies from stolen art, jewelry. My relatives roar, thunderously applauding. She defied tradition, I continue, quieting them as Betty Graves emerges from my chest, translucent yet resplendent in a peacoat, pearl necklace, and gauzy fascinator. Facing us, she beams across space and time. That woman, we say together, was me. And that concludes my reading. Hope everybody enjoyed those pieces. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm so excited to hear Jordan's reading. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Jen. That was just heady. Thank you so much. Oh, and I have to say, I think that our readers are very much going to complement each other tonight because they both write very vividly. We do like to take that breath between, sometimes almost like the YA cliche, we didn't realize we've been holding it. But our next reader tonight is Jordan Kurella. Jordan Kurella is a trans and disabled author who has lived all over the world, including Moscow and Manhattan. In his past lives, he has been a photographer, a radio DJ, and a social worker. His work can be found in Beneath Ceaseless Skies, Strange Horizons, and Glitter at Ashes. His novella, I Never Liked You Anyway, and his short story collection, When I Was Lost, are both expected in 2022. Now, help me with this. Jordan, I Never Liked You Anyway is about Orpheus and Eurydice, right?
Yeah, it's a revisioning of Orpheus and Eurydice. Yes.
I gotta say, just knowing that and knowing the title together, it was such an instant pre-order. Jordan lives in Ohio with his perfect service dog and perfectly serviceable cat. Gosh, and that's all you wrote. We are so delighted to have you back, Jordan. And I understand that you're reading us from something from your upcoming collection.
Yeah, thank you. I'm reading the first story from the upcoming collection, which should be out in October of 2022 from Journal Stone, editor Scarlett Alge. So the first story is it was sent off a whole bunch of places. The Dark actually held it for 13 days and sent it back saying that they just like reading it.
That's a long time for The Dark.
I was on tenterhooks. Yeah, I usually get rejections from them very quickly, but this was
I think my record was something like 2 hours.
13 days. I thought it got lost. I actually queried. So yeah. But no, so this story is told in court documents. So it'll be interesting to read. So I'll start right now. The forgotten case of Madame Augustine Calou, which evidence presented in the case of the village of Harashore versus the estate of Madame Augustine Calou concerning the murder of Gerant Stefan Rochefort, presented to the court the journals of Madame Augustine Calou. Friday, 14th November, 1834. I have seen blight come and bounties plenty. Marriages fail and marriages grow into families beyond measure. As I have lived in this town many years and many moons, however, I never saw what I saw last night. And I write this with as much truth as I always have had, the truth left in my last 2 teeth to tell it with. Written here with shaky hand and the last of my sanity is what I saw. Gerant Stefan Rochefort is a werewolf. I saw him change under the light of the moon in my own fields, saw him tear asunder one of my sows and saw him cry in exultation before he took off, pig-bloodied into the night. I am an old woman, and this is true. My eyes are not what they were, but the light of the moon was bright enough last night, and my pipe had long ago gone cold. I sat in the freeze of winter evening in my favorite chair and witnessed the entire thing. I dared not breathe an extra breath lest he sense me, lest he tear me asunder too. I heard my sow's cries, but the stink of my farm covered my scent and covered Gerant Rochefort's muzzle. How did I know it was him? Particular sheen of his coat, so silver, so clean. He's only clean man among us in this farming village. Stefan Rochefort would be the only dainty werewolf among werewolves. Pausing to wipe his snout on his torn sleeve, the frilled one I recognized from the tavern earlier this week when I saw him with his beloved sailors, the beloved sailors that I wish would go away from this lovely man who is too lovely for this world, this village, this life, this lovely man who I wish were mine. Friday, 14th November, 1834. Wolves are bold animals, this is truth. They've been coming closer and closer to the village in recent years. They smell our livestock after the soil became too hardened for crops the last few decades. They smell our pigs, our cows, our goats, all of which feed the hunger of men who sail for short periods on long boats, the meat salted and cured for their short journeys and large appetites. Men are bold animals too. They go after beautiful things that do not understand them as I do. They come to my farm. Old woman, they say, how much for one of your pigs whole? And I tell them the price. I am old, but I am fair. Sounds high, they say every time, and one of them laughs. One of them always laughs. The woman down the way offered me half for one of her pigs whole. No other woman is a pig farmer here. I say the Lillivans have boar, but I am the only pig farmer. You sure, old woman, perhaps you forgot. They lean in. They mean business. So I lean in too, my eyes half milky, my hand on my cane, my knuckles black with stink, my breath black with it too. I don't forget, I say. I never forget. They take the pig for my fair price every time, but only the meat, never the whole animal. They wouldn't know what to do with him once they got him. They're young sailors, not old farmers. I doubt a single one of them knows what a pig farm is for. They wouldn't know what to do with Stefan Rochefort if he actually let them catch him. If he let these sailors take him the way they want to, with the hunger in the eyes, the way I see it. All men are unfair in their own way. Says Stefan Rochefort took my pig for an unfair price, and now he must pay. The werewolf, however, is a tricky creature and must be dealt with in tricky ways. Where one lies, others are sure to lie in wait. A lone wolf is too dangerous. He needs his pack. The legend of werewolves is that they create their own pack born from loneliness. They require friends, so they fashion them, put those they admire through the same torment that they were put through. Perhaps not admire, perhaps despise. I I'm a despised woman, as many old women are, those of us who can survive alone for so long without a man to satiate our appetites, to aid us in what we are meant to be aided in. Should we prove to be too independent, too survivable, we too must be dangerous as a werewolf is. Geraint Stefan Rashford and I were made for each other. This is why it was he I must go courting first, and finally, for the last time. Sunday, 15th November, 1834. I arrive at Rashford's home after the winter sun has worn off all the frost and warmed up my bones enough to leave the house. And I do leave it with pastries and fresh bacon wrapped in a basket. My dog, Grimsby, is at my side, old and spine bent. Like me, we both hobble to the Geraint's house, making our way slowly through the frozen village to see treats so that we may be seen. I stand, Grimsby sits at the door for a few moments in a way to be spectated. Me pulling at the shawl around my head, black for a widow, moth-eaten for poverty. Although all in the village know I am not poor, I am simply busy. The dog scratches at his haunches. He is bored or disturbed. He pants nervously, sniffs the air curiously. He does not like being here. He pokes at my knee, half moon-eyed and full of concern. Hush, Grimsby, I tell him. Only then do I knock at the door. Grimsby and I wait longer than we should have to for a very exhausted and hungover appearing Stefan Rashford open it. His gray hair disheveled in sleep, his eyes tired, bags hanging low down his smooth cheeks. He leans heavily on the door frame, looking first at Grimsby, then at me. He says, Madame Calou, what do I owe the... He stifles the belch. Pardon me the pleasure. I brought breakfast, I say, uncovering the cooling food. I thought it a nice gesture, considering the difficult times we're in. Difficult times, he says. He feigns confusion. Yes, I said, with your late evenings out working in the fields in the moonlight. He was looking at Grimsby, whose teeth are bared at Rashford in such a way to give the game away. I am calm as I am among the sailors who would do me harm if I hadn't played the game as long as I had. Come in, Rashford says. Whispers out, give the dog outside. So I do, and the dog stays. There is too much to discuss. Rashford sits down at the table and I lay the pastries and bacon. He looks sick to see the bacon, but takes the pastries whole-handed and eats them hungrily. Change makes a man hungry. It does every time, no matter what the change is. I take the bacon and break it into small strips to eat. With the 2 teeth I have left, we stare at each other a moment as the sun filters through his closed curtains to light up the meager amount of furniture, an unmade bed, a counter full of unwashed dishes, a floor full of empty bottles. The room smells of sex and sweat and men. So many men. There are questions I want to ask, but currently Rashford's chest rises and falls in such metered time, and I realize he is at the edge of sick, and I must meter my own self, lest I want to end up like my own Sal, in pieces. Why did you come here, Madame Calou? Ah, the question. I saw you last night in my fields. I saw you with my Sal. He looks down at his hands. And you're sure it was me? No other. I recognize your frilly sleeves and such from the tavern. The particular sheen of your coat matched your hair. I sigh as I chew carefully on another bacon slice. It was you, Rashford. He looks at me, his eyes narrowed, fingers curling into fists. And what do you plan to do with this insubstantial information? I propose a union of sorts. I will not marry you, Calou. Oh no, I say. I do not laugh, though I want to. You will not now. Not yet. Rashford grits his teeth and sighs. Grimsby howls. The game is set. Saturday, 15th of November, 1834. When a person has lost all sense of power, they will do anything they can to take it back. Everyone lies to themselves about themselves, even me. But when I saw the Geraint in my fields, I could stop lying. His ferocity, his ability to instill fear into what I wanted truly without pretense. As a woman alone, I had neither, had possessed neither. I needed, wanted both. The ability I had to do that now was merely to remind people that their bodies would eventually fail them, that life is a fleeting thing, and they too could end up alone and hideous and surrounded by pigs. What I wanted them to know was this was a choice that I made, to be alone, to be surrounded by pigs, to have a dog, that I threw everyone away because they disappointed me, that power came through my solitude and strength came through choices. that this last choice, this final choice I made to be alone, was to turn their beautiful visions of life into nothingness and then run off to the woods to do it again and again and again. I write this with shaking hand as I wait for Rashford to come and fulfill our bargain. He's to arrive tonight, and I am ready for him. Evidence presented in the case of the village of Harrishore versus the estate of Madame Augustine Calou concerning the murder of Geraint Stephen Rashford presented to the court the journals of Geraint Stephen Rashford. Tuesday, 11th November, 1834. The beautiful sailors are in town again, and I must find some way to make them leave. They challenged me to a drunken brawl last time they came carousing, and I walked differently for a week. They fancy me as I fancy them, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. This time they mean to take me out to the woods for a hunting trip. And God help me, I told them I would go. I have neither skill at hunting nor the stomach for it, but I have the lust and the libido, and I am a weak man. I've cleaned my gun, which hasn't been used in a dog's age. My boots are similarly disused and horribly cracked, and I've taken a bath as I'm sure they mean to do less hunting and more fucking. And I do not mind if we get either or both done. Whichever way it should go, I will come home happy. Thursday, November 13th, 1834. We rushed back here last night as soon as we could when Piotr was smitten with me instead of sleeping. We rushed back to my home as discreetly as we could, although I'm sure we were seen, but we made our way to the tavern as if nothing at all was the matter. The two of us carousing and carrying on as if we were simply the best of friends, gathering drinks to women to us per usual, although the normal amount of sidelong glances from the villagers who know better, and the villagers do know better. Sailors are leaving tonight after one last night, and I write this anxiously from my desk as they take a long walk together through town. I can hear them singing now, some song from a lilting language from far away. I like how they speak, and I like how they move their tongues. Their voices are so beautiful. They promise they'll be back for me before I can blink, but I'm an old man and cannot keep up with their vigor and ferocity for much longer. Soon I will have to cease their invitations to bed and hunting trips to the tavern. They will find it boring, but I will find it a relief. I laugh at myself to think about it, but also I find it a comfort. Friday, 14th of November, 1834. I woke today and said goodbye to the sailors at the pier. They'll leave tomorrow and must spend the day readying their boat. Vessel? I'm not one for maritime language. It matters little. Our time was well spent and with too much drinking and too many late nights. I immediately assigned myself 2 spoonfuls of honey and lemon squeezed in my tea. As a Geraint, I cannot take too long a respite, especially after being seen with my recent company. My head feels warm and my mouth sticky. My usual monthly fever has come. It will require a rest later, but there is too much to do. A Geraint's work is never done. A well must be struck deeper yet, and the summer drought has made autumn difficult and is making the winter more so. I must be there, being who I am. It would not do for me not to be there. I'm expected to give speeches and discuss other matters. Embarrassingly, though, my cheeks are flush. I can feel it. There's a sweat upon my lip. Age does not do a man like me well at these times. Even in cool weather, I feel as hot as the sun. Thankfully, a healthy mustache will keep the evidence of perspiration at bay, a mustache which I've been constructing for some time now. It's quite a healthy bushel of hair. Requires some waxing to keep tame. It's a lovely specimen of thing which draws some men in the village closer to me. It's also a marvel other thing that the sailors said they liked very much. The well striking is in the next hour, and I require a strong tea and a stronger breakfast if I'm to be of upright stature and voice in that time. God help me today. Friday, 14th of November, 1834. The well striking did go well, I believe, although the town surgeon did take me aside and offer me a tonic for my throat. He said I sounded it if I had a rough go of it the past few nights, and then winked knowingly. Perhaps he fancies me. He is too pale about the cheeks for my taste, I'm afraid, and the man has sticky palms and a sickly look about him as he carries all the plagues of the village upon his skin. I would not kiss him if he cure all the monthly fevers I should catch until death. Still yet the man cares a great deal, and he is kind, as is evidenced by the tonic. And how he patted me on the back all the same. Take rest tonight, he said, and glanced up at the sky. The moon. I nodded, and he nodded, and we looked off to the old shepherd woman's house. Madame Calou, who would have us all dead if she had her way. Madame would serve us to the gallows for tea, and then serve us to a table at sunset if it would make her all day all the more pleasant. So the saying goes around the village. She's been alone since I came here a decade ago, running her abominable farm without more than her hound for company. The dog showed up about 5 years ago, wandered onto her property, and as stubborn as she was, simply refused to leave. The two are born from one another. Still yet, she is like me. Neither of us will live our life anyway but our own. Still yet, the moon has plans for me, and I had eventual plans for Madame Calou, whether she knew them or not. We would all learn them in due time. In due time. Feral creatures such as witches and those of us who live by the monthly tides of what comes in and comes out of our feral natures will not do well by planning. We do not do well by planning at all. Saturday, 15th November, 1834. I woke up outside that old witch's fences. Dead pig skin beneath my fingernails, the taste of its meat on my tongue. I remember it. I remember the taste so well, having tasted Calou's pigs so many other times. Why do I provoke her so? Is it for the sport of it? To whittle her down bit by tiny bit? To make her leave? To make her approach me? Confront me? To make her finally realize that it is she who is alone here in the village? That she who is wrong? We are so alike, Calou and I. We are solitary beings, alone in our spite, in our insatiability, in our stubbornness, in our need to control, in our need to be in control. And yet we cannot see this. We cannot know this. She came to me as I did bait her. I heard her dog barking outside my door earlier, so I let her in and she entered. Madame Calou, I said, have a seat. And she did sit. And we spoke for a long time about our plans for the village and what we wanted it to be and what we wanted it to become and what we thought it would be best for it and what we thought we could never, ever come to pass. We drank much that late in the morning and into the mid-afternoon, and she left, her head hanging low, and I shut my door, head also hanging low. How unfortunate that the two of us, so alike in so many ways, could not solve the problems that plagued so many others but ourselves. Evidence presented in the case of village Harrowshire versus the estate of Madame Augustine Calou concerning the murder of Geraint Stephen Rashford. Presented to the court the prosecution representing the village of Harrowshire. Observations and items ratified at the village itself. One journal belonging to Madame Calou. One journal belonging to Geraint Stephen Rashford. Two wardrobes bereft of clothing. The whereabouts of Madame Augustine Calou are currently unknown. However, the whereabouts of Geraint Stephen Rashford are also currently unknown. It is the opinion of the villagers that Rashford would not have left with Madame Calou under any circumstance other than coercion. Prosecution suspects coercive witchcraft by Madame Augustine Calou. The woman remains missing even to this day. Evidence presented in the case of the village of Harrowshire versus the estate of Madame Augustine Calou concerning the murder of Geraint Stephen Rashford, presented to the court the defense representing the estate of Madame Augustine Calou. Observations ratified the village of Harrowshire. Two residences undisturbed. One stock of pigs undisturbed. Two sets of footprints, three heading toward the dock, presumed canine. Defense ratifies prosecution statement that Geraint Stephen Rashford is missing. Geraint is an abnormally slight man. He would be easily spotted among the citizenry of Harrowshire or any nearby town. However, he has been seen nowhere. It is this defense's supposition that Geraint Stephen Rashford left with Madame Calou of his own accord, making the both of them merely victims of speculation and superstition by a village swept up by curious people and curiouser events. Calou and Rashford have committed no crime. They're merely equally alike and perhaps equally in love. And that is the first story in my upcoming collection in October, When I Was Lost. Thank you.
Can't wait, Jordan. That was delightful.
Yes, it certainly was.
Daniel, what a great night.
I know. Holy moly. You lucked out.
I feel like I got a little drunk listening to Jen, and then Jordan had the double espresso to follow. Now I can just stay up and read all night.
Right, right.
Thank you so much, Jen and Jordan. This has been a fantastic night. Every week is different. Next week, we're going to have more of a horror bent because we have Anya Martin and Karen Sumption. And as always, I recommend checking storyhour2020.com to see not just next week, but the next few, arrange your schedule if you need to. But also bear in mind that if you do miss a story hour, or you just really want to hear one again a few times, you can always go to the Story Hour page on facebook.com. You can even follow it so it can tell you when we're about to go live. And you can go ahead and watch the ones that have been recorded because we do this every single week. Gosh, Jen, Jordan, thank you so much. Daniel, Marcus, thank you for giving us Story Hour in the first place. I'm so glad that you brought me in to be part of this. It's really the highlight of my week so often. And all of you who came to listen, thank you. All of you listening in the future, thank you. All together, we're spinning the fictive dream.